Hey everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough Innovation, where we uncover what it really takes to lead change, create value, and build what's next. I'm JL Heather, one of the co founders of Centered, where we lead organizations and help them navigate complexity, spark creativity, and unlock the full potential of their teams through innovation coaching and strategy. Today's guest, who I'm really excited to talk to, brings a rare global perspective to the challenge of leading through complexity. I want to welcome Loic Potjes, a seasoned CEO, board leader, and executive coach who has coached over 40 CEOs across 17 countries, from scale ups to public companies. With deep experience in go to market strategy, innovation, and M&A, Loic helps CEOs cut through the noise, make bold decisions, and accelerate growth, especially in moments of high uncertainty, which seem to be a lot more common these days. He's led companies with thousands of employees, invested in tech ventures, and now runs Disruptive Leap, where he helps CEOs focus on the 20% of action that drives 80% of results. So if you're wondering what it really takes to scale a company and lead with clarity across global markets, this is the conversation for you. Look, first of all, I said it earlier in our conversation. I love the name Disruptive Leap. I think that's genius. So if that is indicative of how the conversation is going to go. I'm super excited and welcome to Breakthrough Innovation.
Thank you for having me, Jill. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So your experience is pretty good. 40 CEOs, 17 countries, the size of companies. I'm pretty impressed with that. I'm curious, based on your experience with these executives, what are the most common challenges CEOs or any executive are facing when they're trying to scale, and what are the things that are holding them back?
The first thing that comes to mind is lack of clarity. It is so easy, and you have 90% of them being stuck in the coal phase, having super busy days, and with being managed by the employees, their shareholders, their clients, their suppliers, their investors, and they have a good dose of positive dopamine by the end of the 14-hour day, back to back. But the truth is, that 90% of that does not move the needle. And it is so easy to keep busyness as a way of plodding along. And so I think that's the public enemy number one, that lack of clarity on what are the 3 to 5 actions today, this week, this month, this year that are going to truly move the needle for my business. Being on the coal face, you naturally lose perspective. So that's the first one. The second thing that comes to mind is very few people learn from the future. They tend to learn from past experiences. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a century anymore to gradually build up our experience and so on and so forth, and then do a bit more of the same with a twist. The acceleration means you have to learn from the future. And what I mean by that is that you've got to leverage new technologies, and you'll always have new technology. The flavor of the moment is AI, but before that you had machine learning, 3D printing, or whatever it was. It was a radio, doing away with Volkswagen and having actually an automobile or what. But the mindset has to shift, and it has to shift dramatically rapidly, because the pace of acceleration is revolutionary nowadays. What I mean by that, so let's take AI as an example. There was a short study with a few hundred CEOs. The quick insights were: one, everyone's putting money towards it because everyone is super excited and super scared that it's going to eat them alive. Two, everyone is busy with it, top of mind, top of agenda, but a tiny minority of CEOs has really started properly scoping their first AI-based project. And actually, the majority of them come back from a fireworks workshop on, oh my, that's amazing, back to their desk to say, shit, where do I start? And they're actually not sure. And the point is, what we use in Disruptive Leap, it's a mix of exponential technology and a 90 minutes AI workshop. That's actually not at all about AI. It's about leveraging the power of having 1,000 consultants in a room. And that's the analogy of AI, but it's the art of the dance, the art of the prompt, the art of the contextualizing, the art of, and the exponential mindset to ask for the non-obvious tactical strategies. But in 90 minutes, Point is that you can have a breakthrough thought, idea, moving from a bottleneck, putting the first step. So, for example, we had the thought of a CEO in the commodity space, fuel, oil commodities, and he needed to adjust his price and anticipate the pricing. And his key competitors were moving their prices systematically every fortnight. So, cut a long story short, AI told him if you can predict the pricing, whether it's going to go up or down, you can have specific marketing actions right before, right after, and that lifts up your operating margin by 5%. So it's not a revolutionary strategy, it's a tactical one. Now, the CEO, after the fact, then talked to me and say, hey, that's amazing. Let's talk to our SAP team. And in 6 months, we have deep integration and can't wait for the. And I said, are you mad? The real question is, what can you start by next week, Monday? And what can AI quickly code in Python in a quick and dirty fashion that you can still extract from your ERP in a CSV format, but even manually, how can you make the right decisions to lift up your margin by next week, Monday? Your integration will come. So, and I think when I say learning about the future, it's really your job as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, to lead from don't be afraid of AI, just think how you can leverage it and how you can leverage it to shape your business today. And it's the art of the dance. And I think, and why am I mentioning that as a response to your question is that I think 100% of CEOs have started using AI, but in a daily fashion to have meeting notes and to make a beautiful pink or purple slide or video or whatever, the mundane stuff. Very few have really started on the continuation of digital transformation, just a bit active. But it's essentially you keep your existing business model with just a bit more optimization efficiency, but no one is using it for its true power, which is shifting and scaling your business rapidly. And there's no
Yeah.
reason not to. Just imagine you have 1,000 consultants in your room. You can connect their brains on the given knowledge of the past and the capacity to think together on the next move. And you can do that today. And that's amazing. So I think entrepreneurs and CEOs should focus there immediately and certainly not pass the buck to their CTO or whoever else in the business.
It's a little like hooking up horses to pull a Model T, right? Not really realizing the potential of the innovation. I do think there's a lot of truth in what you say. I feel like there's also some risk there as well in you hear a lot about in AI, the human in the middle, right? That kind of human in the loop kind of mentality. And I think that's important here as well. So to take your example with the oil company, I love your push. Like, what can you do next week, Monday? Right. I think agility in especially medium to large organizations suffers. I wonder AI can do great things in terms of like idea generation and helping you analyze a situation. Organizations still seem to struggle with the operationalization of some of those issues and the agility that's required to move at the current speed of disruption, the current speed of the market. Beyond AI, what do CEOs need to be looking at to help make sure they're not getting bogged down by bureaucracy so they can actually adapt at the speed with which they need to move?
Think what they need is external help. And what I mean by that is the easiest part is greenfield. When someone lifts up AI or whatever other technology to start a fresh business model. And the reason that's easy, it's because they have an unpolluted brain. And the
Right.
pollution comes from doing 100 years more of the same. We now have built an oil tanker or a small boat, but we heavily designed in each process to do more of the same. And so the hardest part is not the learning. The hardest part is the de-learning. And you can't see the wood from the trees. You can't see, and so you're stuck there. And so can you de-learn? Yes, you can. If you have a century and lots of patience. But you don't have that anymore. And so you need that external fresh look to come and question you. So that could be a consultant, that could, well, or rather, I would say an experienced. So, for example, what part of what we do in CEO coaching, and I'm sure from your experience, you'll align with that. It's that fresh perspective from outside linked to a deep business experience. And then you can leverage tools to question, why aren't you? And so that constant check with then a practical strategy. And the practical strategy should be, what are the 3 to 5 things that are truly going to move the needle for you again next week, next month? And if you can't answer that, then there's a bit of deeper search to, because if you can then as a CEO categorize, okay, these are the 3 to 5 things, then I've got these important things that also, and the rest is noise. Cut through the noise heavily. The world is not going to stop turning. And of your for 14-hour agenda, free up 6 hours quickly.
Well, and it's
And
interesting listening to you talk, it almost sounds like you're talking about focus, right? And I think we mentioned this earlier that 20% of things that you do that drive 80% of the value, the Pareto principle. I'm curious though, like we see it all the time. It's far less about are you being productive and far more about are you focusing on the right things. So maybe as a CEO, what are the signs that I need someone to help me refocus? Or what are the signs that I'm losing focus and I might need that outside perspective to help bring me back to center? Like what should a CEO look for that tells them it's time to go get help?
first, if you lack clarity, if your next year or your next few months are about doing more of the same, then there's probably something wrong, because you need to adapt constantly. Not every week, but you need that re-questioning. So if you don't have a strategy, and a strategy is not next year let's do more of the same, or it's not, hey, we want to be 1% of that big market, or hey, we want to, or there's a budgetary target. None of that is a strategy. A strategy is, we want to solve that problem in the market, and here are the steps and the core things we need to achieve to have a local partner in that country, to have access to blue chip companies. We need a setup here. We need to hire a team of experts that would do this, or like you need a molding the clay plan. If you can't answer, in order to have fixed my business in the next 3 to 5 years, here's the step I need to do in 3 years time, and here's the step I need to do next week. And I would vouch that 9 CEOs out of 10 do not have that. They might have a 1 year business plan, or they might have a, hey, we want to be a unicorn or whatever, but all of that is fuzzy. It's not and so I would leave it at that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the engine in the room. If you had the perfect plan, it's like driving a Formula One race, but you haven't looked at the engine you've got in the room. So what are the core talents? If you can't answer as an entrepreneur, here's what I'm uniquely great at, what I'm reasonably good at what I'm crap at. And then who in the team brings that level of experience, so that you have a well-oiled, call it soccer team. If you have attackers but no defenders, or you don't have a midfielder, or whatever, like you're not going to win the battle. You're not going to win the race. So I would say the clear strategy, and then the engine in the room, and strategy and plan with the engine. And so if any of that resonates, and if you don't have that immediate clarity, go for external help. And I would say in there, bring seasoned people who've gone through the hard trenches and the hard miles, but with a future-based mind, because solely past experience doesn't cut it anymore, unfortunately.
And I appreciate in your analogy, you called it soccer for the American audience rather than football. So that's always great. But no, I agree. I think it is having a clear understanding of what success looks like, and then having line of sight from where you are right now to a path that leads you towards that success. I think you're right. I would say, yeah, I would agree. There's a good portion of CEOs that get so absorbed in the weeds that they lose that line of sight and they don't realize it. I think the other thing you talked about, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, the only thing I might add there is that can't just be your perception of strengths and weaknesses. That has to be validated by the market, by your peers, by a coach, whoever. Like you need some external validation, because I've seen too many people who, I don't want to say delude themselves, but kind of delude themselves into thinking they're an expert at something when they aren't. But otherwise, I love what you're saying. I do know we're getting close to that wrap up time. And I've been looking forward to this question the whole time. So when we think about CEO leadership, and to your point about future thinking, I want to dive into a little bit about what's next, because the business landscape evolves so rapidly. We've talked a lot about how should CEOs look at what's happening now, where's their company going. To get a little bit more introspective, how should CEOs be evolving themselves? Like what should they be doing to help ensure they have the skills, the mindsets, the perspectives they need to do all the things we've talked about?
They need to get out on a frequent basis out of the coal face. It might be for a short course in a business school on a relevant topic. It might be, it's not just the podcast when you're in the car. It's not just the stuff that you do at 4 a.m. thinking, yes, I've ticked that box. I've read that Kindle book in a shortened version or whatever. A space of depth, as in enough time out of the office, out of the coal face with something relevant. So a business course, a peer group. There are amazing organization, like some of them that come to mind is the Entrepreneur Organization, EO or YPO, the Young President Organization, where you mix with peers of great diversity of industries, background, and so on that will challenge you and you them. You need to find your learning space. It might be a mentor, it might be a coach, it might be a, but if you don't do any of that, you will plateau, you will get out of breath, you will get in, and your business will start staling, and you can't afford to do that. So less of the day to day, and you need to find practical ways weekly to start working on the business, not just in the business. And if you don't do that, you're doomed sooner or later.
No, I love that. I think it's so easy to get trapped in the grind and not take care of yourself, your own needs and growth. I think that's really, those are wise words. Knowing that we're about out of time, Loic, I did want to give you an opportunity. What are the best ways for people to get into contact with you if they're looking to work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thought came to mind. One good way to practically start that journey into getting out of the woodwork and the coal face is what we offer for scale-up entrepreneurs and CEO is a complimentary 90-minute generative AI exponential strategy to have a taste of what it looks like to work on your business. And so the best way, or if you have any questions with absolute pleasure, or you want to be in touch, the easiest is the website, disruptiveleap.com, like a disruption, a leap, like a leap of faith, disruptiveleap.com. And you can book a slot, you can send a WhatsApp, an email, whatever works for you. But yeah, it'd be great to be in touch.
Awesome. And we'll try and get that link in the show notes if anyone missed it. Look, thank you so much for the time today. It was very inspirational for me. I enjoyed the conversation a lot. I think we probably could have gone another 60 minutes and still had fun. For everyone else who's been listening all the way to the end, first of all, don't forget to leave that 5-star review. It helps us a lot. But maybe most importantly, if you know anyone who could benefit from Loic's experience from the conversation, let's share the episode, pass the wealth, introduce them to Loic. And then lastly, in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. What are some of the things that you're struggling with as a CEO, as a leader of an organization? And where do you feel like the future is taking you? We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you in general. Loic, one more time, thank you very much. For everyone else, we'll see you all next time on Breakthrough Innovation.